Hello and welcome to the latest Epic Universe construction update. Even since our last update just a couple of weeks ago, there's been a lot of progress to check out, so I'm excited to check out all of the progress at this highly anticipated new park. But before we jump into the update, for those that are somehow unaware, Epic Universe is a brand new theme park coming to Universal Studios Florida. Epic Universe is located just 2 miles south of Universal Studios at Islands of Adventure in Orlando, Florida. And this new park will include brand new lands themed to How to Train Your Dragon, the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, Universal Monsters, and my personal favorite, Super Nintendo World. So there's a lot to check out, so let's not waste any more time. And as usual, let's start our update off by heading over into the Dark Universe. At the entrance portal to the Dark Universe, there is scaffolding that has been recently added to complete the exterior theming. We can also see the colorful concrete area in front of the portal looks like it is either complete or close to being complete. Looking a little closer at the portal, it is believed that tree roots will be sculpted over sections of the ring for a very cool effect here. On the other side of the entrance portal, which is at the top left, we can see the progress in this area, and the exit of the land is at the top center of this photo. And over at the Frankenstein Manor, which has a lot of scaffolding that has been recently removed, we can also see the roofline theming that is in progress at the right here and is going to go all around the entire front of the manor. And at the entrance of Monsters Unchained, the Frankenstein Experiment, which is here at the Frankenstein Manor, we can see the wording Frankenstein on here, and the exterior work with the vines and aging looks great as well. On this reverse view of the Frankenstein Manor, we can see the walkways have not been poured yet and will likely be one of the last things to be completed as the land wraps up construction. And over in the extended queue of the Monsters Unchained, the Frankenstein Experiment, we can see it looks just about complete, and we can also see the crypt in this part as well. Over at the Curse of the Werewolf roller coaster, we can see all the trees that have been placed in this area, and give it a couple of years, this entire queue will be shaded by trees. And again, one of the things I love about this park is the sheer amount of trees that are going to be everywhere. And speaking of the Curse of the Werewolf roller coaster, we have some cool views of ride testing that is going on here almost continuously. We can also see in some of the views where they have water-filled dummies to simulate actual guests on the ride, which means we're not too far away from actual people testing these rides at some point. On the other side of the Burning Blade Tavern, we can see more trees that have been planted, but also some of the walkway has been paved here as well. And we will continue to see some sections of walkways being paved, as again, this is one of the last steps before this park finishes its construction. And here we can see the current status of Darkmoor Village, which is the village that is in the Dark Universe. And here in this view of Darkmoor Village, we can see the restrooms, which have their exterior work nearly completed. And something cool to see here in this staging area for Epic Universe is we see the former monsters that were on top of the Monsters Cafe over in Universal Studios. The Gillman, Werewolf, and Frankenstein characters you can see right here. And given that they are in the staging area here, it is likely we are going to see them somewhere in Dark Universe. So I suppose it might be a little bit of a game when this park opens as to see where we can spot these characters, as they may be Easter eggs inside of rides or restaurants or other aspects of the land. All right, that's about it over here in the Dark Universe. Let's move over into the Wizarding World Ministry of Magic to check out the progress over here. And over at the entrance portal plaza of the Wizarding World, it's a busy place with a lot of work going on near the portal in the backside of Meteor Astropub, which is another restaurant in Celestial Park. Here is a good look at the progress on some of the facades in the Wizarding World. Now, there's a lot of progress on buildings with signs, advertisements, and aging elements. And here at the arrow, we can see the entrance to the Wizarding World Battle at the Ministry ride, which is the main attraction in the land. And the red tent is the entrance to Le Cirque Arcanus. I probably butchered that, so my apologies, which is the theater show in the land. Which we got a lot more information about all these attractions in the Ministry of Magic land. So if you want more information about that, be sure to check out another video I will link up top where you can check out all the details that Universal announced about this. In a closer view of the theater show entrance, we can also see there is a protective covering over the recently poured pavement in the land. And the workers in this shot add scale as the buildings and streets in the Ministry of Magic are full size and will be like walking through the actual streets of Paris. We can see in this view some recent theming of wrought iron railings at ledges and windows that is currently happening, which gives it a very cool effect again for this time period of Paris. In this view of some of the buildings in the land, we can see scaffolding is being removed, and at the arrow is the wand shop for the land called Cosme Acajor baguettes magiques. Again, I probably said that wrong, but I'm from the Midwest, so I do what I can. In the other view, we can see the wand shop at the ground of the building here is at the center. And here in this facade that is under heavy scaffolding, we can see in the upper right, we can see an advertisement for butterbeer in French, which translate directly to beer of the butter, which I kind of like better on some level. And that's gonna about do it over here at the Wizarding World. So let's head over into Super Nintendo World, as we have a lot of progress to check out over here. Over at the entrance portal to Super Nintendo World, we can see more trees have been added to the area, and it looks like part of the walkway has been paved as well, which is gonna be a common theme again that we're gonna see throughout all this update. We still have yet to see any details added to the actual entrance portal as of yet, but that will probably come along toward the last steps of construction. We can see the current status of the fountain near the Super Nintendo World store that will sit just outside Super Nintendo World. Now, the reason this store is going to sit outside the LAN is in case the LAN is at capacity or closed for an event, and there will still be a place where people can get their Nintendo merch, because people love their Nintendo merch. We can also see from the animation that Universal released what this will look like once it's completed. In the Mushroom Kingdom, we can see trees and other theming elements that have been recently added to Yoshi's Adventure, and we can see in the background Funky's Flying By plane that is in Donkey Kong Country. And here are some current views of the status of Mount Beanpole and Yoshi's Adventure. And there is now scaffolding that has been recently placed in front of the entrance sign that was recently installed for Yoshi's Adventure as well. And over here at Bowser's Fortress, which is the entrance for the Mario Kart attraction, is really starting to come along with its exterior theming. And here are some of the details of the entrance to the ride as well. And here is what will be Toadstool Cafe, which will be the main quick service restaurant in the land. And here are some recently added wood texturing that we have to the stairs in the land here. And this is what the current status of Peach's Castle is. Now, it's not as far along as Bowser's Fortress, but it is coming along slowly. And we know that construction is starting to get wrapped up, as construction offices located near Super Nintendo World are being removed from the construction site, and this is yet something else we will see in other areas of the park as well, again as Epic Universe is entering into its final stage of construction, which is very exciting to see. And over in Donkey Kong Country, we can see some recently added theming to Minecart Madness. There are triangular sections that have been added for shade over the outdoor queue area of Minecart Madness as well. And in this shot, we have a great view of what will be themed walls and a fence that will be behind Minecart Madness. And in this aerial view of Donkey Kong Country, we can get a good lay of the land here. At 1, we have framing for the roof of the under track access of the shaded queue. At 2, we have a view of the actual track on Minecart Madness, which runs sideways along the entire ride. At 3, we have the treehouse frame. At 4 is Funky's Flying By, which is almost complete it seems, and this is going to be a gift shop. And at 5, we have the last scene of Yoshi's Adventure. And here's a great shot of a screaming pillar that has been recently placed on the Minecart Madness track. And here's another look at Funky's Flying By shop, as it's making some great progress, as it just kind of popped up in the last update and looks to be almost done again. And here's a good view of the front of the temple part of Minecart Madness, and on the left is where the waterfall with the giant Donkey Kong character face will be. And we can see here in the concept art what this is likely to look like once completed. On another angle of the temple waterfall, we can see a banana at the top, and the worker here gives this area some scale. And here's the status of some of the stone wall theming at the water splashdown part of Minecart Madness. And here's the status of a couple of huts in the land. On the left is the bubbly barrel, and on the right is a character meet and greet photo spot. And this is a great photo of ride testing going on for Minecart Madness, and we can see test dummies are in the cars yet again, which means the ride testing is progressing very nicely. And this is a great shot of some barrels that will be interactive drums in the land, and many of these areas will be ones where you access them with your power-up bands as they access extra games and activities in the land. And here's a great shot of some theming on Minecart Madness as well. All right, that's going to do it over here for Super Nintendo World. Let's head over into the How to Train Your Dragon Land Isle of Berk to see the progress over here. At the entrance portal, we can see that the exterior rock work is coming along, and we can also see 4 pine trees have been recently planted in a feature that is going to be directly in front of the portal to the land. On the other side of the entrance portal, the exterior work almost looks complete, but more exterior theming is still ongoing. And here's the current status of the bay. Now, it doesn't seem like much has changed since our last few updates, and the water is completely drained from this area as workers are adding finishing touches to this area. And there's a walkway currently in development from the entrance portal to the Viking Training Camp Kids Play area. Also, many trees have recently been planted in this area, including along the waterfront and Hiccup's winged gliders. And over at the Vikings Training Camp area, there is a lot of progress over here, and we can see a crane that is hoisting logs over the second launch of Hiccup's wing gliders for placement in the training camp area. And there's been a pickup in activity over at Dragon Racer's rally as of late, as the grandstands are close to being completed, as well as tent frames have been recently added for the queue of the ride here as well to provide shade while you're waiting in line. And at the entrance of Dragon Racer's rally, we can see a sheep wrapped in plastic inside of a catapult. Over at the entrance of Hiccup's wing gliders, we get a great view of a pair of statues being sculpted. We can also see a couple of dragon houses being prepped for installation as well. And in another view of the entrance, we can see a sculpted dragon head at the top arrow and a sculpture near the entrance of Hiccup's wing gliders at the other one. And in this view of Hiccup's wing gliders, we can see what the finished exterior theming work will look like in many parts of the land when it's completed. In the queue area for Hiccup's wing gliders, there is a pavement in progress here as well, and the tent poles look to be complete, so we should see the tent coverings added to the queue in here anytime now. And here is some more rock work, trees, and pavement in progress in the queue of Hiccup's wing gliders. And in this current progress picture on the first launch of Hiccup's wing gliders, we can see the exterior work looks to be all but complete over here. And here we can also get a look at the train cars for Hiccup's wing gliders, as they also have water-filled dummies inside them, as ride testing is also ongoing over here as well. And in a more recent shot of Hiccup's wing gliders train, we can see there's wood grain and tree rings themed in each car, as well as the dragon is now placed on the front, and each train has a different colored dragon figure in the front of it as well. And looking closer at the first launch, we can get a blurry glimpse of Toothless himself. Now, he's usually hidden under a red blanket, but in this shot here, able to get a good view of him, and although it's a little blurry, but it's still really cool to see here. And over at the theater, which is going to have the Untrainable Dragon show, here is the current progress over there. And right next to the theater is this square of concrete, which is believed to be the back of house airfield for the dragons that will fly over the Isle of Berk. Now, these were recently spotted testing around Epic Universe, and the tent here has a bunch of picnic tables for workers under it. And here's the current status of the Spitfire Grill that will be a quick service restaurant in the Isle of Berk. The restrooms are to the left here, and in front of it down below is where you will go to sit while you eat. And over at Fire Drill, we have a great look at the water cannon targets that are being installed here. And here is the staging area for the themed targets for Fire Drill that are waiting to be installed by workers. And this is a great look at some of the dragon houses near the bay in the land that will sit on top of a rocky area in the village. And we can see the current status of Mead Hall that will be underneath the mountain here. And also at Mead Hall, we can see the scaffolding is back in place for painting of the two tall Viking statues that will be on both sides of the entrance to this restaurant. Well, that's going to be it for over here for the How to Train Your Dragon Isle of Berk, but let's head over into Celestial Park to see a lot of activity going on in here. Over at Constellation Carousel, work at the ride platform is now enclosed, and at the right, a tower has been placed for the entrance sign, and a Pegasus was recently added to the top. And here's a closer look at that Pegasus and some of the theming on top of the carousel. Near Constellation Carousel, we can see the progress on the splash pad construction, which is called Astronomica, and nearby are foam blocks. Now, similar foam blocks will also be at the lower left as well. And it looks like a few more trees have been placed around Constellation Carousel since our last visit. And here's the progress on the small dome that will be the ride queue for Constellation Carousel, and the entrance is at the tower at the left here. A recent walkway has also been paved in this area between the splash pad and the show fountain, and again, as walkways are popping up all over this park now. Another one of the colorful patterned concrete areas is being built at the entrance to Constellation Carousel right here. And over near Helios Grand Hotel, we can see the progress of the Blue Dragon Pan-Asian restaurant, and we can compare it to what it will look like once it's completed here. Now, a lot of trees have been added near the Oak and Star Tavern barbecue restaurant as of late, and again, a lot of trees are going to be all over this park, and this is one of the things about this theme park that I'm very much excited for, because again, this is Florida, this is the devil's backyard. Trees and shade are definitely a welcome addition to any theme park. And here's a great look at the Meteor Astropub that will be one of the many places you'll be able to eat and drink in Celestial Park. And again, the Meteor Astropub is the restaurant that will be on just the other side of the entrance to the Wizarding World of Harry Potter Ministry of Magic. And over at the Luna Outlook, we can see the sculpture has been placed here. We can also get a look at the model in the Epic Universe Preview Center to see what this will look like once it's completed. This is a really cool part to see, again, as this statue and like Luna Overlook is a really cool aspect to this park, and much like having an actual park inside of a theme park that's supposed to provide a lot of views, trees, greenery, and just a nice quiet place you can be able to hang out in a theme park. And at the left here, we can see the rabbit figure and other elements wrapped in protective coverings that will be installed soon here at the Luna Overlook. And this is a great view of the Helios Grand Hotel lobby that is facing Celestial Park. And speaking of Helios, it is coming along very nicely, as we can see some of the current progress in these views here. And on the in-park side of Helios, we can actually see at the arrow there is a hotel guest walkway where guests of the hotel will be able to access Epic Universe that has recently been constructed. And over at Helios still, this is the current progress on the pool and recreation area. And we can also see more progress has been made on the cabanas that are going to be at the left in this photo. And here's a current progress of the recently started construction of a pair of restaurants in Celestial Park. Now, it is rumored that these restaurants may not be ready for opening day, perhaps in a stage 2 after the grand opening of the park. Now, making our way over to Stardust Racers, we can see the status of the Comet that is the centerpiece of the attraction here. And we can see the beginning work on the entrance signage for Stardust Racers here is currently underway. And the colorful patterned concrete at the entrance of Stardust Racers is visible yet again, and there is more concrete walkways that have also been poured here. And in this view, we can see the progress on the extended queue of Stardust Racers, and a circular section was recently paved, and walls at a service road crossover have been faced with bricks here. All right, staying near Celestial Park, we'll head over to the entrance plaza of Epic Universe, and we can see here the Kronos is almost complete, and there is now iron rod gates up surrounding it. And we can see on the back side of the Kronos where an American flag has recently been placed. And in the entrance plaza, there is also now rock work that is being painted. And we can also see the construction of the parking toll plaza for guest parking access. And here is an overview of guest parking that is currently being used by construction crews. And looking outside here of Epic Universe, we can see parking at the lower left to the park entrance at the upper right. And checking in on the pair of hotels that will sit just outside of Epic Universe, the Stella Nova and the Terra Luna Resorts, we can see here more of a colorful pavement walkways have been added to the pool area of the Stella Nova Resort, as well as over at the Terra Luna Resort. Also, the colorful reflective tiles on the outside of the building have been recently completed here. And here's a great view of the current pool and recreation area of Terra Luna Resort as well. And here is the current progress of the pool and recreation area at the Stella Nova Resort. And something to note here is more construction offices were recently removed from the parking lot at the top right, as construction again begins its final phases. Now, before we wrap things up here, it's important to note that an opening timeline of Epic Universe, which we are all anticipating to hear from anytime now, is going to be very dependent upon the supporting roads around Epic Universe, as there's a lot of work that needs to be finished there to be able to handle the crowds and cars and traffic coming in. So let's go check in on those real quick to see some of the progress here. Now, here we can look at the intersection of Kirkman Road and Epic Boulevard, where a raised traffic circle is under construction, and the Epic Universe guest parking lot is at the top right. And here is a raised traffic circle near Epic Universe again, with the road at the left that leads to the day guest parking. And here is the site of Universal's electric bus service area, as these electric buses will be used to shuttle resort guests to and from Epic Universe. And here's a steel frame being constructed for the electric bus service area. And here on the new Sand Lake Road interchange with Kirkman Road, traffic recently switched to this overpass here. And in this view of the new Sand Lake Road overpass of Kirkman Road, beyond it, you can see the demolition that is underway of the older overpass. And when demolition is done, there will be ramps built connecting areas at 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And here at the Kirkman Road extension, passing under Sand Lake Road, the concrete lanes at the center will be exclusive to Epic Universe bus traffic, which is much like if you've ever been over to Disney Springs. They have a very similar setup there where they have dedicated bus lanes. They are going to do that over here as well, which will help a lot with getting transported to and from Epic Universe to the existing Universal Studios and Islands of Adventure parks. All right, that is going to do it for this Epic Universe construction update. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel before you go, as we do lots of coverage here of Epic Universe, Universal Studios, Disney World, and pop culture news. And if you want to check out even more Universal Studios and Disney World information, you can check out the Capture the Magic podcast, where we share tips, reviews, money-saving strategies, and more. You can find the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts, and also here on YouTube over at CTM Podcast. All right, well, let us know in the comments, when do you think we're going to hear about the Epic Universe opening timeline? All right, let us know in the comments. Instead of when do you think Epic Universe will open, when do you think we'll hear about an opening date about Epic Universe from Universal Studios? And until next time, we will see you in the parks.